Welcome to the Elevate the Vibe podcast, bringing you juicy convos with thought leaders discussing the wild world of parenting.
Howdly hodily, neighbors. This is Jason Berlin, your host of the Elevate the Vibe podcast, your favorite number one parenting podcast in all podcasts land, wherever that is, which is all encompassing all around us. I am Jason Berlin, your host, which I've already said, and I'm saying it again so that you remember my name. And here with me is my co-host, the beautiful, striking, young, vibrant, vivacious, beautiful, star-studded expert of a beautiful wife, Katie Berlin.
Okay. So Jason bought some pumpkin bread recently, and I think he wants me to make it. So that is, I think that's why I got that intro, because after we wrap this up,
You're damn right, you're baking.
I'm making some pumpkin bread with chocolate chips in it.
Oh, chocolate chips? All right, you're hired.
Yeah, look, he acts surprised.
Another 10 years with me.
He's been planting these seeds.
At least.
All right, so on today's episode, we are in the midst of prepping because we have another child on the way. For anybody that's just joining us, we have our son who's 2.5. We have a baby that's on the way. I'm 8 months pregnant. And something that I've been wrestling with since our son's been about 2 years old is the idea of potty training. Part of me has thought, okay, well, we need to hurry up and get this child potty trained before the second one arrives. Now, like anything in life, you cannot force anyone to do anything.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was that about our relationship?
Besides the pumpkin bread, like anything in life, you cannot force anyone to do anything unless you're my husband, Jason Berlin, and I will force him to do things.
That chain is awful tight down here, but
yeah, like, can you please clean up that spot on the floor because I can't reach it because
Right.
my prego ass can't bend over. So potty training, that shit's been weighing heavily on my mind lately.
That shit. Ooh, I like what you did there. That was good.
And I've been looking into different resources, different experts. Also had a conversation with our pediatrician who was on episode 8. If you want to go back and check that out. That was like pre-COVID we recorded that. So Interesting how much has changed since
I was still doing potty training at that point, so.
If you consider potty training peeing on thirsty bushes outside, then sure.
She's a thirsty bush.
I'm just jealous because I can't pee on a thirsty bush right now.
High kick, babe.
I can't kick anything.
That's true.
Yeah, nothing. I'm only getting kicked from the inside
That's true.
out.
The kicks are on the inside, yes.
So something we've been thinking about. Now, there are so many different experts, ways to handle this, advice that you receive where people say, I did this method where, my child ran around without clothes on. They learned it in 3 days. Use a reward system, offer them like a little cookie or something or chocolate chip, whatever. Depending on how your child's motivated, there's so many different ways to go about this. Now, we do not necessarily want to rush our son into it because I've heard so many times how that backfires on people, where then you kind of push your child into trying to do it too soon. And then they're the type of kid that holds their pee for 12 hours, gets a urinary tract infection, and then you're dealing with antibiotics and they won't poop. And it takes 6 months to get them unafraid to go to the bathroom again. So I know it's like not that big of a deal, but with the time pressure of thinking about another child and like 2 kids in diapers kind of situation, I was like, it would be really nice if one of them could just also use the toilet as well.
And it's funny because we've had a couple different books about potty training. I think the first one that we had was talking about using your wee-wee and your woo-woo and going into, random weird words to describe going to the bathroom. And then we have this other book called Potty that is pretty nice. It's got a really colorful drawings, and it's all about the process of, what does the cat do? What does the dog do? And then, the kid like waits around and on the toilet and all that stuff. And that's pretty good. And then Katie, you were telling me a little bit about another book that people were recommending, which was more of like a militant approach, or at least the person was just very like berating of parents, like, hey, if you don't do this shit, you're an idiot and your kid's gonna piss all over the house or whatever, is kind of what I gathered from what you were telling me. So I guess we're we want to do the best we can, of course. We also don't want to push our kid too hard. He's a little baby. He's figuring stuff out. He'll come over to me now and be like, poop. And I'll be like, oh, let me check your diaper. And he won't have something. So I know that he's like getting there. He's starting to recognize the sensations. But he's just not quite there. I threw him on the toilet for a little second. He's got a little tiny potty and with our potty, and it's a super cute little thing. And so he's starting to recognize the sensations, but he hasn't quite gathered the process of sitting down, taking your pants off, sitting down, using the potty, wiping yourself, all that stuff. Because it's a lot to remember for that little tiny mind that still thinks that a stick is a weed whacker. So it would be awesome to get everyone's advice on this, because it's something we don't really think about. We're adults. I mean, I've been potty trained for at least, 20 years now at this point. So, I don't know. Shug, what do you think?
2 of the books that Jason's referencing are kids' books. So they're intended to be for children, like to introduce kids to using the bathroom, which has been very helpful. And as Jason mentioned, we also bought one of those little tiny toilets. I think we've had that thing for like 6 months, and we have it in one of our bathrooms. Now, I know some people use the tiny toilet, like I said. Some people use underwear. Some people go commando. Some people buy a little step stool for the toilet. Our son in general likes to do what we do. He also is really interested in seeing us go to the bathroom, which, for some people, like...
I say, poop in there.
Yeah, he wants to see like what's happening.
He doesn't believe me when I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, listen, kid, if you haven't heard anything that's going on here and you don't think there's something in there, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know if it's the hearing, but it's definitely the smelling of what's happening in there.
That hurts. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's there.
That's why I have to bake the pumpkin bread to mask the smells.
Something's got to do it.
Yeah. So there are also references that, and Jason touched on one of them, that are books that are meant to guide parents. And one that was recommended to me that another friend used, which she said worked very well. Her son is a similar age to our son. I'm not going to name the book right now because I don't want to, poop.
You're not going to pee shame it?
I didn't want to poo-poo it.
Ooh! Poopery it.
If it's worked well for other parents. But I just saw on a lot of the reviews that the approach made you as a parent feel bad if it didn't work, and it didn't really give a lot of insight into how to get yourself back on track if you didn't have success with it. One of our family members who has other young children did reach out to me and shared she has 3 children, and she did share her process and what worked for her. There wasn't necessarily a book, but it was, not forcing and reward system-esque that really seemed to do well for them. And I know for some people they say little girls versus little boys. I've heard a lot of people say little girls can pick it up faster and younger than boys. I don't know if that's true. I don't have statistics on that. But we just don't want it to backfire. We don't want it to be a problem now or in the future. I also, just thinking about having my child run around without clothes on and peeing all over everything, like also at X amount of months pregnant, I don't know if I want to just step in something and be like, oh, okay.
And it would be one thing if he was at daycare half naked peeing on everything, but he's in our house. We don't want that.
Yeah, like if somebody wants to volunteer their home for the potty training process.
Pee house, yeah.
Yeah. If you want your house to turn into Pee-Pee's water park.
Pee-Pee water park.
Then we're all for it. But anyway, elevate the vibe, audience, vibe hivers. We would love your advice, as usual, on the Instagram post related to this episode. Please let us know what has worked for you. Feel free to shoot us a DM as well. We're open to all insights. We want this to be a nice, smooth process,
flow.
a good flow. We don't want it to be a strain or, have everything go to shit, basically.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
All right, that wraps it up. Thank you for joining us to Elevate the Vibe.
Peace.